Hello and welcome to another pen rambling. So in this episode, we're going to talk about first fountain pen. Okay, I do have a episode which is my first episode, which is why fountain pen, where I talk about why do I choose fountain pen over other types of pen. Now in this episode, I'm going to talk about the first fountain pen. So as you can see in front of you, I have a lot, which is a collection of most of my fountain pen. And believe it or not, this, I think black on black doesn't look good. Okay, and this is my first ever fountain pen, and I bought this when I was 9 or 10 years old, which is very sentimental value to me. I'm still lucky I still have it with me after moving places, houses, that this was still with me. I could have lost it when we were packing and things. So now, because fountain pen is more accessible via online right now compared to when it was my time, when the first time I saw a fountain pen, which was in a brick and mortar type of shop. So I'm going to talk about first fountain pen. If this is your first time wanting to buy a fountain pen, what should you look for? I'm not going to give you suggestion that you should buy like Kakuno, or this one will be the Pilot Tank something, Pilot Metropolitan. I'm not going to tell you about that, because everybody have their own preferences. Can't talk today. So, and our budget for everybody is different. Some of us are coming from a rather tight budget where we only have around 20 or 30 ringgit to spend to get a fountain pen, while some of us may have a few thousand ringgit to spend to get their own first fountain pen. Okay, so everybody's have their own option. So nowadays, even though fountain pen is kind of like outdated, but it's not, which is like very funny when people are going more and more towards ballpoint pen, gel pen, because those pens are cheaper. It is easier to get, especially when you are in Malaysia, because as we all know, anything that is cheap, it is always a better option. Plus, you don't get inky hand. Okay, if you have a fountain pen, there are chances that you will get inky fingers, which I don't have right now. Very lucky. Or most of the time I do have it. Right, so there are a lot of options in the market. And then there are a few things that I want you to consider when you want to buy your first fountain pen. Number one, are you looking for a specific range of budget, or are you looking for an unlimited budget? If you are looking for a specific budget, it is best that you will go for those are meant for children, because those type of fountain pen are usually more inexpensive. I don't want to call them cheap, because any fountain pen is most probably more expensive than a ballpoint pen that you can buy a ringgit, 2 ringgit at any shop, stationery shop. So I'm not going to call them cheap. They are inexpensive. So we have a few options here. If you are looking for, well, actually not this one, although it is. If you are looking for inexpensive, you want to try it, do you like the orientation of that nib? Because fountain pen nib, okay, it is only one way, which is this way. It is not like ballpoint pen where you can rotate it as you wish for your writing. Of course, we can write it upside down for some of the pen, but we can't write it sideways. So that's what I mean. Okay. And then there are expensive one. I don't have much expensive one, except I have my one and only more expensive pen, which is the limited edition Sailor Nebula. This one is my most expensive one in my collection currently, which I kind of like it because it's green and it's blue and it has that glitter which represent the galaxy stars. And then next you want to consider, are you going to go for a steel nib or are you going to go for a gold nib? This battle of steel versus gold will never end. Okay, now that there are more and more material where it is more accessible to get inexpensive gold nib. So the one that you see in front of me in this box, most of them are gold nib that are not in the expensive range. They are entry level. Okay, and I even have gold steel nib that is almost the price of my entry gold nib. So it is not a surprise that there are battle between the gold versus steel, because platinum is known for their quite stiff gold nib. So some people they may argue that since platinum is coming out with a rather stiff gold nib, why not go for steel nib, which is a cheaper option and it is also stiff. Some people just like the engraving of a steel nib, gold nib, and most of the time, can you see that? Okay, most of the time the quality control on the gold nib seems to be better, but not all the time, than a steel nib. Okay, and I have Faber-Castell, which are famous. Okay, they are famous for their very smooth, a very nice experience of writing using steel nib. This was my first, not this one, where is my first one? First steel nib that is more expensive side compared to my other steel nib, and I did not regret because I got 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. And the only thing I don't like about this Faber-Castell that I have in my hand is it is heavy. I mean, they are more heavy than my gold nib, which because of the material, which bring me to the next point. Are you looking for just what they call as plastic, which is a resin, or are you looking for materials such as stainless steel, carbon fiber? Because most of my pen is like plastic, as you can see, except for this one, and Metropolitan, which is also kind of like a steel nib, steel body. Alright, so this is the material. Some material are easier to scratch, so you might want to be careful with them, and some are not so easy to scratch. So that will be the material, the material of the fountain pen itself, the part where we will touch most of the time. Now you have to be careful because there are material like this one. Okay, this one is a rubberized something that I had to had it sent back to Faber-Castell in Malaysia for them to have a look why I have a sticky end, a very sticky end, I mean it's sticky, rubberized, and then I have a crack here which I sent it back to them after talking to their representative. They had it fixed and then sent it back to me. That time they did not know why. I think I am not the only case. Right? So for short writing session, I do love it when I write with Faber-Castell because it is very pleasant. The most pleasant steel nib that I have in my collection other than Twisby. Okay, next you want to look at the filling mechanism. Are you want to looking for a piston? Do you want to look for a cartridge converter? Cartridge converter means either they can use cartridge or they can use converter. So you have to be careful because there are brand that is specific. There are brand that use international cartridge. So this one is converter. Okay, converter means that you can fill ink from a variety of bottle ink, which I talk about in my previous episode. If you want to hear me rambling about it, go ahead. So that will be the filling mechanism. What are you looking for? If you're the person who like to you like to write, or you write a long session and you don't want to fill up, you don't want to keep filling up because the capacity of cartridge is like 0.5, 0.6 millimeter, and then you have almost like 2-3 times more on piston. There is another one which is vacuum, and then there's a few more. The one that is the more expensive side, they have a few more types of filling mechanism. And then are you looking for solid color, means that only one color throughout the body, or are you looking for a colorful one? Although this is not like colorful, but I mean like they have patterned throughout this. As you can see, most of my pen is like one color throughout the body. Okay, as you can see here or here. Or you want to look for a specific pattern color throughout the pen. Next, you may want to consider ease of maintenance. Okay, so ease of maintenance, it can be is it easy to wash when you want to switch your ink? Okay, for example, this one is Nebula's, I forgot which range is this. Okay, it is not easy to take apart. I don't think I've taken apart. I'm not so sure whether it can be taken apart or not, but the filling mechanism is inside, just like the piston here. Okay, and then you fill it up by putting into the bottle ink. Then the easier part is that I can take this one out, if I can do that. Okay, and then you can have it wash through here. Okay, so it is easy, also easy if you, especially if you're using ink that is harder to wash, like iron gold or glitter. Right? Usually pens, there's only one pen I have here that is rather difficult for me to wash, which is the platinum, because I have not tried to take this one apart. Get the feet and the nib section apart. But all of them, the one that I have here, okay, most of them can be taken apart. Now TWSBI is very good for taking apart, especially if you own this one. Now if you watch the previous episode where I talked about maintenance, you will see me putting these pen together after washing. And then you want to consider what type of nib are you looking for. Are you looking for the fine nib, or are you looking for a broad nib? Now are you looking for a western broad, or are you looking for the western type of nib, or are you looking for the Japanese type of nib? Because if you see my previous episodes, I talk about that the nib can be in the western, fine, medium, broad, and so on, versus the Japanese one. So if you like fine writing, writing in a fine line, you may want to consider either western fine, extra fine, or Japanese fine, medium, and medium, which run pretty fine for a fine, if you get what I mean anyway. So if you love broad, wet type of character, okay, if you love it, you can go from medium for western nib, or some of the Japanese nib also have quite broad. So you want to consider by collecting the same type of pen with different nib, which I have one here, and people will tell me, okay, I think this is fine, this is medium, Platinum 3776, we have medium, fine, and a broad. I have two medium, one fine and one broad, so I can switch between the fine, the medium, and the broad. Sooner or later I think I will start collecting the music and the thicker cost nib also, maybe. As you can see, I have 4 of them. You may think that I'm obsessed with Platinum 3776. Alright, so if you're collecting, are you collecting for the brand? Are you going to start collecting only TWSBI? Are you loving, for example, Faber-Castell? So if you notice here, I have a few of the same brand, but this is not intentional collection. If it's collection, it will be like the whole set together, from the extra fine up to the last special nib. That will be a collection, but I just like to collect what I think I love seeing, plus the price. If it's over the price that I can afford, of course I don't want to buy them. Why put the financial freedom, the burden on yourself? Right? So those are the things to consider when you are looking for when you are making decision to purchase your first fountain pen. Do I have suggestion? Of course I do. Right? So if you're looking for pocket pen, one of the suggestion is Kaweco, and you can also have a look at, if I can get it out, Pilot Petite. Okay, Pilot Petite, which is almost the same size, but I'm having a very funny one. This one is a snap cap. Okay, I know it's not a fountain pen because my fountain pen is somewhere inside, but they have this one, and then this is a twist. Now if you look at this, if one day I do a review, it is almost just the enough length for me to write, and then this one is even shorter. Well, it's got petite in a way, or as I said, Faber-Castell, or where was it? This one is a little bit more expensive because it is exactly the same, just the clip is different. Okay, one day I might do a review for this, or you can find them all over the internet. Or the Twisby came out with Swipe, Go, and the one I have here is Eco. That will be the more affordable side. Okay, so as you can see, I don't have a ton of expensive fountain pen, but all of them, if total up together, it will be rather expensive. So this is my pen rambling for your things to consider when you want to buy your first fountain pen. Right, so if you do have any question, or if you do want to consider, okay, and you're still not making up the decision whether which pen you want to buy, you may leave a comment down below, and if I can help you, I will help you with your decision making. So that's all for this episode. I'll see you again in the coming episode. Take care and bye bye.